Greetings, Facebook and world. Hi, this is Caris, and I'm just here making a short video regarding a book I just purchased recently. And it's a historical book, and I took like 3 hours yesterday kind of going through it. Let me show you. It's a book called The Atlas of the Transatlantic Slave Trade, written by David Eltis and David Richardson. And the importance of this book, I tell you, there is so much history through images. As the saying goes, a picture is worth 1,000 words. They have done an incredible duty and job to put this work together of history to show you how the slave trade happened, where the constitution of the captives, and I love their use of the word captive that they keep using throughout the book to show you that these people didn't voluntarily, become slaves. They were made slave. Because if you capture, that means someone searched you out and went and captured you or caught you and drag you by force to another location. So let me show you some of the maps that are inside this book. And I'll tell you, I'll recommend you getting this. I'll recommend everybody who cares about history, who's interested in history, to get this book. And also for particularly my brothers here, the children of those who were dragged through the ships from Africa to the Americas. This book is very important to you, and it's on Amazon. I bought it for like 26 something. So basically about $27. And if quote unquote every black families in the Americas and all over the world could just get one copy so the whole family can look at it. Let me just show you some of the things that are in here. So basically this book is using maps to show you how the slave trade happened, and each map gives you a particular timeline on different time to show you. So let's say this is the first map in the book. Let me zoom out a little bit, put my phone back. In this map, it says in the title, the slave trade to trade in slaves from Africa, 1501 to 1900. Look at that. That's about 399 years. 399 years. Now, look at the concentration of the slaves that were brought to the Americas. Look at the majority of numbers coming from where? That's right, Central Africa, the Congo area, Cameroon, Angola. That's where I'm from. So, and according to the African history that my ancestors left, according to their history, it is told that the ground zero of the African migration or the Bantu migration began in the Congo. So all of Africa claims we started somewhere in Libya, and then we got to Sudan, and then began to spread out. And I know for a fact that many of the Nigerians and us basically, because we're not really too far from each other, but the diaspora of the spreading of the so-called Negroes, who are really the Judeans who've been running since 70 AD, they spread throughout what we call West Africa. But usually when people hear West Africa, what they do is they focus more on this part right here, not realizing that Africa as a whole is this. And this is West Africa, the coast. But also notice that this map is showing you slave trade, even though this book focuses more on the transatlantic. Look at here. Look at here. The coast of Mozambique, Kenya area, and look where they're going. India, Asia, the Middle East, Arabia, Look at the people they're taking from the Somalia, or what's today, Somalia, Ethiopia area. Look where they're going. So this book is confirming the Bible prophecy. There is only one people in this earth who fits the biblical prophecy of God's people being sold into all nations as slaves. Look at this. Notice, do you think it's a coincidence what's going on in Libya, even though I know it's been going on, just the Western media wasn't reporting it. Since Gaddafi fell, guess what? They've been selling our people as slaves, captives, prisoners, especially those who were living in Libya in good health, because Gaddafi kept saying Libya is, quote unquote, the black man's country, because that's where we began. That's where, if you read in the scriptures, Simon of Cyrene, the disciple, the person who carried Christ's cross, guess where he was? Where he was from? Libya. So I tell you, I respect people who are about the truth, and I think these two writers, based on their name, we can assume they're of Caucasian origin. But I commend them and I call them brothers. Why? That they care so much about the truth that they spend their energy to compile such book. And I haven't even showed you the other maps that are contained in this book, but this map right here, it's like a a nuclear bomb right in your face to show you how impactful the slave trade was. And this is only focusing on the transatlantic. And from what year? The 1500s. Guess what was before this? The slave trade that the so-called Ishmaelite brothers, the Arabs, the Muslim Arabs, were doing prior to this. That's how we got to West Africa. We as a people, we've been always running. And by the time they found us in Africa, we were still getting to know the land. We were still migrating to West Africa. And that's why, when I hear people, in the media talk about, our life started in Africa, they don't even understand what they're talking about. Even the word Africa was a name that was given to us. They never called it Africa. So even to this map, it's showing you, let's see, let me show you, and for my brothers out there who are Christians, looking at this, you need to realize, especially if you're a black pastor, our people here in the Americas, there is one thing they lack, is the knowledge of self, a sense of belonging. Even me coming from Africa, when I discovered from my grandpa's information, may the Most High rest his soul, he passed away about 5 years ago, and a spirit got into him where I guess he sensed that he was going to pass over. He compiled a syllabus that shows the Mbandi tribe, my tribe, how we got to the Congo, how we began. And from the beginning of the syllabus, he tells us that the reason we began to migrate was we were running away from Islamic persecution. That the invasion of the Arab, they were giving us conditions that if we choose not to worship their God, that we must leave the land. And our ancestor says, our ancestors always worship the power of our ancestors, or the God of our ancestors. That we refuse, we got into conflict with them because we refused to submit to their faith. So we had no choice but to leave the land. And as we began to migrate, some of our people began to spread out, build new villages, and new language began to develop. So the same thing that happened in the book of Genesis chapter 11 when God, the Heavenly Father split the tongues, it happened also in Africa. So that's why we are divided into different tribes. We are the same people. It's just that I believe, based on my studies, that the Most High had mercy on us. He began to divide us so that the enemy won't pinpoint us in one place. That's why slavery happened. Because we were spread out. Because if we were united as a nation, meaning we had a sense of unity, basically because we were going to the jungle, so we had many villages throughout Africa where you have one family that grows up and say, Dad, I want to go to this land that's like 50 miles. So back then there is no roads or something like that. So if something happens to me right here in this spot, my son who left 50 miles away won't know what's going on. So that's how it was able to happen. Not only that, it had to be divine. Oh, shalom, brothers. I guess I get caught up, talking about this, but I just wish our people here in America, our brothers who are of the diaspora can understand. And even before this date right here, I know most African knows there was if you ever heard of Mansa Musa, the most famous African king who made a pilgrimage to Mecca, who was one of the richest kings in history, who basically crashed the economy of North Africa because of his voyage. Prior to his birth, his grandfather, it is told according to African history, that he sailed from this location, well it's called here Senegambia, or today Senegal, that he made a pilgrimage. He said, I'm gonna sail west. Like he had ships of armies, gold, wealth. He said, son, I'm gonna sail west to find a land. He said, if I do not return, that means I found civilization, I found a place to be. So check this out. If Mansa Musa, you look him up online and look at the date of his birth, and then you trace back his lineage, go back to his grandfather, look at the years. And according to my ancestor, my people who came from the Libya area, by the time they got to Sudan, when the Muslim came to kick them out, the year they recorded living from Sudan to moving towards the Congo area, which is right here in the center, right here. Sudan is like up here, so they migrated from here towards this area in the map where the Congo River is. Guess what year? 1333. Think about that. So for the course of what, less than 200 years, our people were able to populate and migrate, to show you how fertile we are as a people. We are very fertile. And that's one thing you have to realize. The population in Africa is unaccounted for. The population in Africa is unaccounted for, meaning nobody really knows how many people are in there, because there are some people who have always lived in the jungles and they've never been counted. And Africa, we are told, we made it seem like Africa is what? The second largest, or what was it? The second largest continent after Asia or something. That's actually false, brothers and sisters. That's actually false. But that's another topic. But I'm focused more on this book review. Look, there's another map I want to go. I think page 120, page 127. Let's see. Oh, let's see. Okay, for example, right here, this map, it's showing you from between 1534 to 1862, the destination where, well, the number, where the location where they were grabbing slaves, and it's right here, the Congo. I'm from the Congo, so it's a Congo River area. Look at the numbers. Look at the numbers. Going where? Check this out. Talking about the USA area. Look, look, look. New Orleans, the Carolina, Georgia, Charleston. See, you notice everywhere there's our people, there's where things happen. What? Our people are there. Look, look, look. Boston, Rhode Island, New York, Baltimore, Charleston. For those who can see, you start to see a pattern here. Look, where? Cuba, Dominican Republic, Jamaica. Let me go back to page 137. That's another. Let's see, 137. Okay, here it is. Look at this. Look at this. Luanda, which is in what we call Angola. And then here's another map. So basically, this book, while it's showing you a map of the different migration. Here's those coming from the Cameroon area. Brothers and sisters, get this book. You don't need freaking DNA tests because they can lie to you. You need history to have a sense of where you come from as a people. Look at this. Look at this, brothers and sisters. 2,826,000. That's an estimate number, meaning the numbers they could find. Because these guys, they went to records, some records. And I'll tell you this, brothers and sisters. You know why we say that history will not be told the truth? The people, the people who committed these crimes, they have all records. When I say all records, they have records of people who got sick, people who die. Everything. They keep records of everything. Because they have to be, because it's about money. When it comes to money, you gotta keep records of everything, keeping loss, gain, all of that. So in a way, in their evils, they had to keep a record. That's what makes it more powerful. Is there are records out there, brothers and sisters, that will not be made, available to. And the conclusion from this map, as I read it, my conclusion is. Brothers and sisters, like, I guess being a trucker and a traveler across America, I'm like, man, when I look around so-called black people, I'm like, man, these guys, I don't see no difference. The only difference is they just speak English. I look at one, I'm like, man, this looks like my cousin. Man, this looks like my aunt. Man, I don't see no difference. But we're made to feel different. Why? Because we were separated. We are one family. A lot of our brothers went to South America. That's the thing. And here's another secret this book reveals. That the amount of slaves that were brought to the Caribbeans were in great numbers compared to to North America. But the amazing thing they discovered is that the numbers of slaves that were brought to the Americas, their numbers increased so high that it matched the numbers of the slaves that were in the Caribbeans. Meaning, let's say in the Caribbean, they're bringing 5,000 slaves per year, where in the Americas, they're bringing, let's say, 500, right? So you think each year goes by, the numbers of slaves in the Caribbean will be more than the Americas, right? No. The slaves in the Americas were breeding. They were increasing in numbers. And that's the only place, based on the slave trade, where the numbers increase in that magnitude was only North America, or what we call today United States of America. So, brothers and sisters, whether you are of my people or you're outside of our people who cares about history, get this book. I commend you. It's only $27. Look at this. It even mentions this ticket of the slave trade. And I want to tell to our Caucasian brothers, when they look at this, you shouldn't feel guilty for this. You should feel remorse, and that should give you a sense of having pity on these people, and realize that history may not be pretty at times, but you must know history, because ignorance doesn't give an excuse. Because if you ignore history, you're bound to repeat it. So we're told never forget 9/11, right? 9/11. Well, what about this? What about these people who live amongst you, are the descendants of those people who were living at peace? They were in their quietness, they were in their cultures, being stolen by force by their enemies into a land they did not know. Brothers and sisters, get this book. Again, the book is called Atlas of the Transatlantic Slave Trade. You can find it on Amazon. Get this book before they raise the prices and make it out of reach from the basic population, on whom they refer to as the useless eaters. While we're distracted from the media, this is the stuff our children should be learning. I'm originally from I'm originally from a country called Congo, or it used to be Zaire. Now, I've lived in America for 17 years. And, there are some things that I witnessed that I keep it to myself. But one thing I found in common to my brothers here